Hello, whoever's watching. So, I haven't been beatboxing for the longest time and I'm not as good at it as a lot of the people on YouTube, but a lot of the stuff that I learned is still fresh in my mind as I learned it. So I figured I'll make some tutorials and maybe help someone out who's just starting to beatbox. So since this is the first tutorial I'm making, I'm going to start from the basics. I'm going to cover the boots and cats approach to beatboxing, and for me this is actually not how I started out. I started out with with doing actually a throat kick. I might cover that in a later video, but I'm not very good at it myself, so I may not do that. I learned boots and cats later, but lots of people do that first, and so that's what I'm going to do first. Alright, so when people talk about boots and cats, what they say, straight off the bat is that you're using the consonants in the phrase boots and cats to beatbox, right? So you have the B, and then you have the TS, and then you have the C, and then you have the TS again. So that's bass, hi-hat, snare, hi-hat, right? So you have like that. That's the basic boots and cats beat. However, if you don't beatbox, that it doesn't make any sense. A lot of people say beatboxing is a lot like human speech, or regular speech. But and to me, I'm just starting to realize that now. But when I was starting out, it didn't seem like normal speech to me at all. It's quite different because you're doing different things with your mouth, and when you're starting out at any rate, your vocal cords are not really involved that much. So it's not that much like speech, I don't think, at a beginner's level. So I think it's more important to actually understand what's happening inside the mouth when you're beatboxing. So that's what I'm going to try and explain. So in boots and cats you have three sounds, right? You have the bass or the kick drum, right? And you have the K snare, right? The C in boots and cats, that sound, and you have the hi-hat, which is a TS or a T or TSH or just an S, depending on what you want. So you can be like a, you can have a, depending on what you're doing, or you can have a, and when you start off it might actually be more like a TSH, more like a, and you may not be able to get the sharp sound, but don't worry about that, that will come to you eventually. So yeah, that kind of covers the hi-hat. The hi-hat is really easy, you should be able to get it right away. That's what you're doing, is you're just saying the TS sound and you're not using your vocal cords. So you're just saying the TS sound without, it's like you're whispering the TS sound but you're doing it loudly. So you're pushing the front part of your tongue against the front part of the roof of your mouth, and you're pushing out air through it, and you have a sharp release. That's what it is. It's like a pss, pss, pss. And that should be pretty easy. You should get that pretty easily. The next sound is the bass, the kick drum, and this is one sound that is going to be everywhere, no matter what style of beatboxing you're doing, what kind of a composition you're doing. The bass is always going to be there pretty much. And it's also kind of a tricky sound just starting out. Some people get it pretty easily, some people don't, and a lot of people say it's a B sound, but a lot of people who don't beatbox, me also, when I was starting out, when I thought of a B sound and they said, so I mean I would do something either like a or like and that's really not what you want. So what you're actually doing is you're just pushing your lips together and you're blowing. So I don't quite remember which movie it was, but in this one movie there's this someone saying, oh, you know how to whistle, you just put your lips together and blow. And that doesn't really work while whistling, but when you're trying to do the kick drum, that is actually what you're doing. You're putting your lips together and blowing, and then that sounds a little weird, but you do it in a shorter, for a shorter time. So you have a, right, and get it really short and get a sharp sound. And the shape of the mouth is quite important, because you don't want to be puckering like that, because then you're not going to get any sound. You're not going to get anything. But if you smile, if you make your mouth too wide, then you're not going to get anything either. You're going to get a really high-pitched sound, which is not exactly what you want. You're going to get something like, or you might get a, and that's not what you want either. So what you want to do is you want to just relax your face, drop your jaw, and then close your lips. Right? So your jaw is open but your lips are closed, and that is from the relaxed position of your face, and this is the mouth position that you want to start out with. And then you just press your lips together and you blow like that, and then you make that shorter and shorter and shorter until you have a, right? And once you get it to about the length of a, right, what you start working on is opening your lips after you've done the sound. So if you notice, when I do the kick, my mouth opens after I've done it. So it's not like a, it's more of a, my mouth opens, and that's what you have to work on. So if what you're doing sounds like, right, then you want to start doing it like, and you want to get it shorter and shorter, and you want to release at the end, and eventually you'll get a sharp bass sound. So that's the bass, and you don't have to completely get your bass down before you start experimenting with beats, because there's really not much fun with that. If you get a sound that you can kind of do in combination with other sounds, that's good enough for you to start making beats and doing stuff, and your bass will get better, and as will all your sounds. The third sound is the case snare. The snare in this case, usually you will have at least 3 sounds in any beat that you're using a lot, and you could classify them into the bass, the snare, and the hi-hat. And in the boots and gats approach, the snare is the case snare, and this, a lot of people say, is just a case sound, but that really doesn't help, because at least what a lot of people do when they think of pronouncing K, and then they try and accentuate that, they get a sound like, and what they're accentuating is the airflow, and that's not really what you want to accentuate. What you want to accentuate is the sound of the consonant itself, and the sound of the consonant is made by an oscillation where the back of your tongue is repeatedly striking the back of the roof of your mouth, and that because air is flowing through it, so it lets air through, and then it closes again, it lets air through. That's what's happening. Just say, this is my tongue, right, and sticking out like that. And you might find that at the point of contact, your tongue is bent over like that. I'm not sure if this is clear, but say your tongue is bent over like that. What you want to do in order to make it more sharp is you want to make it flat and touch the roof of your tongue, so that there is no empty, there are no gaps for the air to flow through. When you get the sound, is because air is flowing through gaps, and to close the gaps, you need to close the gaps by making your tongue straight. And also you increase the pressure against your tongue, between your tongue and the roof of your mouth, and you hold it for longer. So when you do a K sound, what you might be doing is, and what that is basically you're doing the K sound and you're releasing it, and then you're doing a kind of H sound where you're just letting in a lot of air. You don't want to do that. You just want to hold the K sound. So you want to push your tongue against the roof of your mouth, and you want to keep pushing air through it for a little while. So you're kind of like you're hacking up a hairball or something, and you make that shorter, so you have a, and you reach a point where it's more like a, and then you can use that in beats like the normal boots and cats beat. There's a lot of stuff you can do with these 3 sounds. So there you go, you're ready to start making your own beats, and yeah, this might take you a while to get, and you might want to start out with something simple which incorporates only 2 of the sounds, something like that maybe, instead of using all 3 sounds at once. Whatever suits you, you'll figure it out. Okay, so that was boots and cats, the basics of beatboxing. If this helped you out, then you should subscribe, because I do plan to make more videos like this. And if you subscribed, then you will be notified when the next video comes up, whenever that is, in your phone notifications, or in your email or whatever. Yeah, so you ready now to start pissing a whole lot of people off and maybe impressing some people. And I'll see you next time.